Welcome to Folk Tales. I'm Dominic Zammit, Director at Boatfolk, and throughout this series I'll be joined by a wealth of guests from the UK's boating community who will be sharing their stories of lives spent in, on or by the water. This is a podcast by Boatfolk for Boatfolk. Today we once again join Oly Rush and Roy Beal for part 2 of their story about how they're protecting our oceans. Let's see what they had to say.
Cool. Okay. Just going quickly back to the swim. How much, when you were swimming along, did you see a huge amount of rubbish and plastic in the water as you were swimming, or was it just stuff that washes up on the beach mainly that you were seeing?
There are a few bits, weren't there? Was it across Weymouth Bay when you went into a polythene bag or something? You thought it was a jellyfish?
That was it, yeah. So the only bit I actually saw in the sea, because most of the time we're quite a way offshore, so you don't generally find stuff like that unless you swim around in Chapman's Pool. You might pick up a few bits of plastic, but I swam into a plastic bag, which was a bit, and we collecting bits out. On the training swims, we saw quite a bit of plastic from sort of sandbanks. We were swimming down towards sandbanks and then High Cliff and that stretch, because I could see the bottom, it's so clear. I was literally swimming down, grabbing bits, chucking them to Roy, and he was like keeping them on the kayak, and we found loads of stuff there. But because I couldn't really see the bottom, most of the plastic wheels tend to sink. Then, yeah, we didn't see a great deal actually in the sea. But yeah, we did on the beaches when we pulled up. And I think the worst spot for that was Chesil Cove. Obviously, that catches a lot there. So that was probably the worst spot. We saw it actually on the beaches. But
that was where we found the seabird that was wrapped up in fishing line, wasn't it?
Yeah, not nice.
Yeah, just remains. It's basically just a skeleton with a few bits of feather, just completely wrapped up in fishing line. That's actually a poignant point, because up until that point we've been having loads of fun and banter and enjoying the swim, and yeah, just being completely epic. And then we arrived at Chesil Cove. We find that, and I think that's what we said before, was it? So it really hammers home the point of why we were doing the swim in the first place. We want to raise awareness of these problems, and there it was right there. And there was also, was it a dead dolphin as well, wasn't there, on the beach there?
Yeah, a bit like that. It just catches everything there, and there was a dolphin that washed up. I think there's been quite a few recently, hasn't there?
Yeah, unfortunately we've had quite a few this summer, dolphins washing up in Chesil Cove, and I think there was a seal as well. But yeah, it just seems to have been, I don't know whether it's just more documented this year or whether or not it's been worse this year. But
I've seen more when I've been kayaking and landing on beaches. I've definitely seen more dead animals this year than any other year I can remember. Not good. But on the plus side, when we were camping at Chapman's for the last day of the challenge...
Oh, I'm not listening.
I saw a pod of dolphins came into Chapman's Pool playing in the waves while everyone else wasn't there because it was early in the morning. They were happy and frolicking in the surf. And Ollie missed it because he was camping in his...
Sorry, mate, I missed the signal was bad. Then I missed that bit. I'm sure it was important, but we'll catch up later.
There's something about seeing dolphins and other wild creatures as well. But I mean, for me, especially dolphins, when you're sailing or paddling or whatever, it's just amazing to see them.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
So you touched on it briefly there, Roy, but we haven't really is the whole point of why were you doing the swim?
Yeah, it was to raise awareness of the harm plastics and fishing line and stuff like that does to the wildlife when it's not managed properly, should we say? Yeah,
it was about raising awareness, and also it was about raising money. But I did not expect to raise as much as we did raise. It absolutely blew us away. That did. That's crazy. I think we set the thing at 2,000, and that was, I wanted to get £1,000 for Roy and for Jake and Rosie, the other guys we were raising the money for at Oceans to Earth. And we ended up raising just under £10,000.
Wow.
So it's absolutely incredible.
That's amazing.
I've put an order in on a boat that's a folding rib. So we don't need a trailer, don't need to worry about storing it. You can just chuck it in the back of an estate car or a van. Don't need the slipway, and just carry it down to the water's edge somewhere, fold it out, pump it up, chuck the engine on, and let's go and do a big mission. And it's got a 700 kilo payload, so we can really go and grab some good plastics and get them out of the environment.
And that's as a result of doing this swim and the fundraising.
Completely off the back of that. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I know.
The other charity that or organisation you were fundraising for, Ollie? Who was that?
So they're called Jake and Rosie, good friends of mine. They run same as Roy, CIC, called Oceans to Earth, and they do similar projects. Really, they focus a lot of their attention at Poole Harbour, cleaning up all of that area. And they're doing some education work as well. So they've got a share of the money, so they're going to get things to help them towards that, and then obviously future projects as well. I think they are actually going to get a little electric outboard, which would be pretty cool. So we can get out in Poole Harbour, go around there and clear a lot of the plastic, because a lot of stuff washes up there as well. That'd be cool.
Yeah, some crazy tides in Poole Harbour. It kind of seems to come in all the time. It never really goes out.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I suppose my last question on the swim really is, would you do it again?
When? We are planning. We haven't actually spoken about it much, but I know what Roy's like. It's going to happen. We're going to do another swim this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when Roy's done, which we're going to, I think, go to in a second. Roy's done his kayak challenge, but I'm hoping to swim round the Isle of Wight this year.
Wow.
Which will be quite cool. That's going to be, to be honest, it's going to be a little bit down to how long we're in lockdown for, because I need to start training for that now, really. Because that's going to be a long swim. It's going to be sort of 24 hours without stopping. Obviously, there'll be food breaks and stuff and things. But yeah, that'll be a nice little challenge for us, Roy. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. No pressure on the tides with that one.
No. Got to get that one right, mate.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely do it again. I mean, I love swimming, and we just have such a good time adventure, even if it was whatever it would be. We'd definitely be doing more challenges. I can imagine this will be going on for many years now. Different challenges each year, mainly to raise just awareness more than anything. You know, you don't want to keep shaking the can at everyone every time you do a charity swim or something like that, because it can get a little bit long in the tooth. But yeah, I think just raising awareness is great. And
just as important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but it should be good. I think obviously we touched on how when Ollie and I first met, we just hit it off. I think there is some internet jokes about our bromance. I think most people that follow us know about that. But even with the kayaking and the swimming, it was straight away very easy to work together, wasn't it? You know, I just paddle alongside him and throw food at him every 3/4 an hour, and he swims along. But we never really had to try, did we, mate? It just worked straight away.
Yeah. Just happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
My missus is making some money. She's questioning things as we speak, honey. She's a bit concerned.
Don't worry, he's all yours.
No, you can.
Apparently you can have me if you want me, Roy.
I don't think Sarah would be happy. I just want to quickly go back to Swim Jurassic very quickly, because we got to Studland, and we know the Jurassic coast is 96 miles, but it worked out where we'd cut across some of the bays, we'd only actually done about 87.
Oh.
That was when it was decided that we'll go again the following day.
Worst decision of my life.
Yeah, so a bit of last minute planning. Yeah, and to do 100 miles, it meant going from Studland. Oh, no, we went from Sandbanks, didn't we? We left from Sandbanks.
Yeah.
And went all the way to Highcliffe, which was right on the Dorset-Hampshire border, and topped up 100 miles. But what it does mean is that he has swum the entire Dorset coastline.
But that last swim, I think I was running on adrenaline for the swim, because I knew I had to get to a finish point. And then we'd finished, and it was like, now it's only a little personal ego trip. I wanted to do 100 miles. And that ego didn't keep me going for very long. I think I got about 2 miles into the swim, and I was just exhausted. My shoulders, everything was tired out by that point. So that was a very difficult swim, that last one, especially after the previous swim, which we touched on earlier with the back eddy and getting caught in the tide. So that was a big day. That was.
Yeah, but we learned from that, because when we got to Hengistbury Head, there's a little tide race that forms off there. And we just stayed in the tide flow. Actually, we didn't get caught in a back eddy then, did we? But we did get caught in the tide turning against us shortly after.
To be honest, Roy, I was just there. I was just present that day. I wasn't actually. I don't know what was going on.
No, but well done to you, mate. That was a hell of a swim.
Like I said before, mate, honestly, that whole thing would never have even happened. I couldn't have even dreamt of doing that sort of swim without you sort of planning it all. You did all the hard work, mate. I just swam it.
Teamwork at its finest.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff from both of you guys.
Thank you.
So this summer, Roy, you're planning your top-down kayak challenge.
Well, I've done a few little challenges in the past because I'm based in Seaton in East Devon. I've gone Seaton to Land's End before in a kayak. That took 8 days. I was raising money for cancer research. And I did Tower Bridge to Seaton, which was 3 weeks of kayaking. And again, that was cancer research, but also the RNLI. So raised a few quid for them. And you just get to that thing of like, well, what's next? Where do you go from there?
It's dangerous at that point.
It is. Now I've done the entire south coast of England. You think, well, how about doing Britain? And I thought about the Land's End to John O'Groats thing, because been to Land's End, so I can sort of continue from there. But then I thought, actually, it's much nicer to paddle home. So let's start at John O'Groats and come down. Now, I know there's the argument of going against prevailing winds and stuff like that. But my personal joke is, it's not a challenge if you don't meet these things head on. So, and I'd rather see the waves coming towards me. Basically, yeah. So this time it's John O'Groats to Land's End. Not fundraising. This is all about raising awareness again about the marine environment and plastics. And because of that, I'm going to be kayaking down the east coast from John O'Groats into the Caledonian Canal, Loch Ness, Ocky, right through out to Fort William. And then down the sea to Liverpool, and then back onto the inland waterways, down the canals to Sharpness, onto the Bristol Channel, and then down back on the sea again for the north coast of the southwest. So we're covering inland waterways, canals, rivers, the sea, lakes, because obviously the plastics are literally in every single waterway that we've got. So that way I can try and promote it. We're going to be promoting the Ocean Recovery Project, obviously promoting what we do as a whole, and not just Clean Jurassic Coast, but just beach cleaners and people that remove plastics from the environment as a whole. And also I'm going to be promoting a charity called Plan B charity, which was started after a young lady, she lost her brother in a kayak accident. And it would have been as simple as if he had had a personal locator beacon on his person, he would probably still be with us now. So I'm promoting paddle sport safety as well when I do this. I know of somebody that went from Land's End to John O'Groats on the same route and it took them 32 days. But I'm not going to try and beat that because that's just inviting disaster. I've allowed myself 2 months and I'm just going to take my time. And so I want to enjoy it as much as anything else. But also, if we've got an opportunity to do some educational work along the way, then we'll do that. And we'll promote all of those things I've said.
Amazing. And so you're looking to start that trip in May, you say?
Yeah, I've worked out my optimum date, if everything aligns, like the weather and the planets. 26th of May, I'll be setting off for John O'Groats about 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Get the first day over and done with. But it's about roughly 900 miles in total. So I want to try and do at least 150 miles a week, which means I can get it done in 6 weeks.
Right. Wow. And so the kayak that you're doing, you touched on her earlier. So
yes.
She's called Just Add Water.
Yep.
And she's wooden.
Yeah.
So how long have you had her?
That'll be coming up to 3 years.
And she was built by a friend of yours?
That's right. Yeah. He used to make kayaks, but this is the last one he made because he needed to spend more time with his family, bless him. So I've got his last kayak, so it's a little bit custom made as well. And she's a good ship, as it were.
Any particular reason why you went for a wooden kayak over a plastic kayak, or was it just for the form? Yeah, it's just purely, it's a more natural product. Although, yes, it's reinforced with fiberglass and it's got varnish on it. It's just the fact that, it's a more natural product, and it's a great promotional tool as well because it's very eye-catching. It's not a normal kayak. There's not many wooden ones out there. So you pull up on a beach and it attracts attention straight away. So there you can get straight on and do your promotion. I've seen her. She's a thing of beauty. I think this is the wrong word, but she's absolutely beautifully built. Excellent. Okay. Is there any part of the trip that you're concerned about, or any part that you're particularly looking forward to? Biggest concern is me. Am I up for it? I don't know. We'll find out as we go along. There are plenty of places to be concerned about. It's the sea at the end of the day. You're a sailor. Oly knows. He knows the sea. And most of the listeners are going to know, it's just,
there's anything iffy with the forecast, then I'm just going to chill out and wait it out. I'm not there to show the world how brave I am. I'm just there to show the world that there's a problem with the plastics and littering in the environment. But yeah, there are certain areas that, I'm not necessarily looking forward to, but plan as best as you can, make the right safety calls, and move through it.
Yeah. And so this particular challenge is on Instagram and Facebook as Kayaking for Charity?
On Facebook, it's Kayaking for Charity, because I've had that for a few years now with the previous kayak adventures. On Instagram, it's Top Down Kayak Challenge.
Okay, so our listeners can follow you on there, follow your progress, show their support.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate in that quite a few people have offered to help out along the way already, which is brilliant.
I'll be helping out, man.
And you'll be helping, yeah, absolutely, yes. Would expect nothing less from my mate.
Are you swimming any part of it, Ollie?
That we did discuss that. I'd love to have done the whole thing, but one, it would take 2-3 times as long, and two, I don't know what sort of waterborne diseases I'd pick up from some of those inland waterways. But I'd love to have done some of it. I definitely will try and do a little bit of it. I'm not sure where yet, but I don't want to. This is Roy's challenge. Whether I perhaps just get a kayak and go along with part of it for him as well, and save the swimming for the Isle of Wight adventure.
Yeah. Well, but no, there's plenty of people have offered to help out as well. And the kayak's 17 foot long. It's a proper sea kayak. I can carry enough food and supplies on there to keep me going for a good week or so, being self-sufficient. But obviously, it'd be nice if people just threw food at me along the way. I'm always happy with that. And of course, apparently I may end up with somebody joining me on Loch Ness and the Caledonian Canal.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
They'll slow you right down on her paddleboard as well.
Yeah, but at least I get to enjoy the scenery.
There is that.
That's the bit I wanted to swim, Loch Ness. Perhaps all three of us could meet up for a little bit there and do a section of Loch Ness.
Why not?
Let's do it.
Might be a bit chilly at the end of May, mate.
Oh, I'll give it a go.
It's Scotland. It's always cold.
Yeah. I've already done a vague plan on Loch Ness, and I'm thinking, although I could do it in a day quite easily, just 23 miles, I'm thinking 2 days, because there is a campsite about halfway along.
Okay. Yeah, I might not make 23 miles in one day.
No. No.
See. Depends on the wind direction.
2 days would be nice, because 2 days you get to enjoy it more and actually have a good look around, as it were.
I guess that's kind of the high point of that particular stretch, isn't it? Because there's a couple of smaller lochs and the estuaries, but otherwise it's canal. And Loch Ness is, I think, the bit, for me, that kind of attracted me to that particular stretch. So, but anyway, this isn't about me. This is about the whole challenge. So
Loch Ness is just an iconic loch, isn't it? It's just obviously all the stories of Nessie and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is just an iconic area, and I think it's probably a lot of paddle sports people's dream to go over there. So yeah, looking forward to that. Absolutely,
me too. Cool. Okay. In terms of the trip, so we know how we can follow you, is there anything that our listeners can do, apart from obviously sharing and kind of making other people aware of your trips, that they can do to help?
Yeah, I'll have a live tracker, so people will know probably within 30 minutes of where I am. It's not going to be literally live, but probably ping every 30 minutes or so. So if anybody wants to offer me a bite to eat or some water or even a shower.
Any particular favourites on the food front?
Oh, blimey. I'm allergic to shellfish and I'm trying to go vegetarian. So, I don't know, cheese sandwich. Marmite on toast. There you go.
There you go. Excellent. So everyone get out your portable toasters and your jars of Marmite. And fab. Yeah.
But I will settle for chocolate.
Chocolate also good. Excellent. Not jelly babies?
No, everyone does jelly babies. Yeah.
So I know that the team in Portishead are well primed to meet you, and I think they're going to pop out and meet you up at Sharpness as well, and kind of see you in, maybe not as far up as Sharpness, but pop out in the workboat or kayaks and things. So should be a good warm welcome there. Good warm boat folk welcome for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay. Just in terms of going back to sort of Clean Jurassic Coast, and that's outside of the challenges, the amazing challenges that you guys do and have done, raise awareness. What can our listeners do to get involved with Clean Jurassic Coast or just other projects that either you've got going on or in other areas, because they are spread out around the whole UK?
All I would say aside from getting involved with the beach cleaning stuff, people can make sort of small changes as well at home, can't they? With, what they buy at supermarkets, where they spend their money. Just little small changes like not buying bananas wrapped in plastic. Little things like that, really practical on a practical level. We can all do collectively make a big difference. So yeah, Roy will say about getting involved with the beach cleans and things at Clean Jurassic Coast. So
yeah. When we're not locked down, there will be on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Clean Jurassic Coast. We do post beach clean date up and down the Jurassic Coast. In more recent times, we've been limiting it to 6 people at a time, obviously with sort of social distancing measures. But yeah, always happy to have people come along and help us out. Or even if people just want to borrow litter pickers off us and stuff and do their own, happy to lend equipment out if it helps people get inspired and have a bit of a clean up.
It's just getting out there, I think, isn't it? But it doesn't even have to be on the beach. If you live in a built-up area, just getting out there and just picking up the litter before it reaches the ocean in the first place is obviously, we've got to be careful at the moment. So yeah, like Roy says, use a litter picker and things like that. But just getting out there and picking stuff up makes a massive difference. And it makes you think as well where it all comes from. And then it just gets the ball rolling.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, even if you only pick up one piece when you're walking along, it still makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Roy always says every piece is a win, which I think when we're down at certain beaches and it's just washing in on every wave, you've got to remember that every bit you get is another piece out of the environment.
It is. Yeah. Well, also for people, especially with this last year with the way things have been, a lot of people are struggling. And they might not be able to get outside very easily, but even if they can, just 5 minutes, just knowing that they've managed to get out and get a breath of fresh air, but also that they maybe just picked up 1 or 2 pieces of litter, they can go back knowing they have made a difference. It's good for mental health as well.
So just moving away slightly from the Clean Jurassic Coast and just sort of starting to wrap up slightly. Have you read, watched or listened to anything recently that's really inspired you in terms of anything really, in terms of getting outside, in terms of helping with the environment, that sort of thing?
I've recently read David Attenborough's latest book, which I can't think what it's called, but he says it's his sort of witness statement or something like that. I can't think what the book's called now, but that I recommend to anybody. That'll inspire you to make some changes. Like Ollie was saying just now, try and buy things that aren't wrapped in plastic if you can, especially fruit and veg. There's no need for it to be wrapped up like that. But yeah, that's one that's inspired me recently.
I have to get that one because I must admit I haven't read it yet, but I've seen it advertised and I'd really like to have a read. How about you, Ollie?
I think anything recently is a tricky one. I think the main inspiration for me is a chap called Lewis Pugh. Yeah. He's a big ocean advocate, absolute legend. And he swims across oceans and all sorts, makes Swim Jurassic look like a nip down the local bath for 25 metres, couple of lengths. So
it's your first one, don't worry.
Yeah. So for me, I think Lewis Pugh, but also just seeing the amount of people on social media that are doing it, getting out there doing it, starting up little accounts, and it's just nice to see people getting out there and doing these cleanups and making a difference.
My last question was, how can our listeners reduce their impact on the marine environment? But we've kind of touched that on every day today. Is there anything that specifically for water users, not just boaters necessarily, but kayakers, paddleboarders, swimmers, anything specifically to them that you think is an important way that they can reduce their impact on the water environment?
I think with most paddle sports people, they're pretty aware anyway. I think most of us, we love the sea so much, and we see the impact already been caused by plastics and stuff. I think most paddle sport people usually come back with a few bits and bobs they find anyway.
So it's just like you protect what you love, don't you? And I think that's the great thing about the boat community and water sports community. I think 99% of people that use the ocean, if you want a better word, for recreation and things like that, I think you protect what you love. As plastic aside, I think one of the things is on boats particularly is emptying the wastewater into the ocean. Obviously, that's something that needs to be looked at. But I think so that's probably one thing they could perhaps think about.
Yeah, I don't know how far there is in terms of legislation. So in places like the Mediterranean, where there isn't a tidal flow as such, the black water it's mandatory to have a holding tank. So you can't open that up a certain distance offshore, but it still does happen to an extent. But that's, I think, probably a long way off in the UK because of the tides.
Yeah.
Sort of it's deemed more as open water. So I mean that's definitely something that's down the line in terms of legislation and that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So at the moment it's a volunteer thing. So you have to basically volunteer. But pretty much all new boats would have a holding tank installed. Haven't quite worked out where I'm going to put it on a 26-foot Contessa yet, but
Yeah.
like something else.
I know. I recently wrote an article about shipping, but it's more commercial shipping. Same thing. When they can only get rid of their grey water from a certain mileage out at sea. I can't remember what it was. I even only just wrote it. But a lot of the shipping companies just say that a local authority says it has to be 3 or 6 miles. A lot of the shipping companies say it's got to be more than 12 miles. But it's still getting dumped in the ocean. And that's what needs to change. And like you said, there's guidelines and there's voluntary options, but there's no actual law or regulation as yet.
I've opened up a can of worms there, haven't I? Apologies for that.
I think certainly from a leisure boating point of view, I think people are generally pretty good. But obviously as ships get bigger and it's more commercial or passenger, then there is an issue there. But that's probably one for another podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've probably got enough material on here for about 5 podcasts where we're going. I was going to say, I mean, Ollie, I'm just thinking about that. I mean, have you noticed a change in the water quality whilst you've been swimming along the coast over the years, or is it just so gradual?
I think the only changes I've noticed, I suppose, after a storm, well, I'm not really sure what happens, but I know that the overflow gets allowed to go out to sea after a storm. So, and I've got Surfers Against Sewage app on my phone, and the amount of times it says poor water quality and things like that, it's all a bit concerning. So I wouldn't say from a personal level I've necessarily noticed anything. Apart from the last few years, there's definitely been more of algae blooms, I've noticed, which has been a bit strange. It's literally like swimming through, you can feel it through your hands and stuff. It's like swimming through sludgy water. So that's a little bit concerning, but it was in the papers and apparently it is a natural occurrence. So, but no, not massively. Haven't noticed too much of a difference. Apart from more plastic.
Yeah.
More plastic in the
definitely
ocean.
More of that.
Yeah. So, boat folk, what does boat folk mean to you?
Sounds to me like it's a community of people that get together on the water, maybe off the water, and the pubs are allowed to let you in. But I think it could be a good opportunity for raising awareness of all these sort of problems in the marine world. Got a good, say, a community of like-minded souls. That's always the first step to education, isn't it?
And just getting people to love the ocean and water sports and getting out there, because it's awesome. The sea is incredible. So I'm in love with the ocean in a strange kind of way. So I think it's really important to have that, and then you respect what you look after it more. So
amazing, guys! Thank you so much for taking up. I'm sorry, almost an hour and a half of your time this evening, which was a bit more than we'd intended. But thank you so much for your time, and it's been great to chat. And I can imagine that this conversation at some other point is probably going to carry on.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks so much. It was great. It was actually really nice to talk about it all and relive some of the moments, some of the old Swim Jurassic, and hear more about Roy. We need to catch up sooner, Roy, as well, about your kayak challenge.
Yes, we do.
Going to take some time off and come and join you, mate.
Yeah. No worries. Well, thanks very much, guys, and speak soon, and we'll have a chat about the old challenge.
Look good. Okay, nice one.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
So that concludes Roy and Ollie's epic folktale, and I think we can all agree that their mission is one we should all get behind. Throughout the rest of this series, we'll be hearing from other green influencers, so if you've enjoyed Roy and Ollie's story, and I hope to see you next time.